Daniel, top of the morning. This is just more of a video update to follow up that text I sent you regarding your beautiful EI quad of 6 BQ5s that were residing in your Vox AC30 TBX slash blah blah blah. So this will go ahead and illustrate some of the issues that can go wrong with power tubes. But for you, my friend, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So right now I have this, let me make sure. I have this set up for this particular type of output tube. And we're gonna go ahead and check for shorts, emission, and grid leakage. So those are the three areas we're gonna focus on. We're not concerned about mutual conductance. We're looking for a pass-fail, go, no-go type of a condition with these particular tubes. For the type of work that we do here at the shop anyway, so. You'll see along the top band an emissions label that'll illustrate a bad and good condition with a questionable lying in the middle. And then on the lower band, we'll illustrate the condition of the tube with respect to a grid leak type fault. So good being on the left side this time, and bad on the right-hand side. So let's go through it. I've already checked this one for shorts. None of your tubes have shorts, so I'll just skip that part of the setup. If there were a short, I would rotate the setup dial here and then look for a flash or a glow on this neon indicator there. So just to cut to the chase, we'll get to emissions. Emission will tell us how many available electrons there are inside of the emitting material on the cathode itself. Underneath that little cathode coating, there should be some electron emitting material which will boil off and then make its way over to the anode for conduction. This is not an issue. This tube has plenty of life left with respect to that. We'll check for grid leakage. Grid leakage is a condition that typically occurs when some of that emitting material flies off of the cathode and then becomes stuck on the grid itself, and then that in turn begins conducting. So you'll have the grid itself conducting, which will then throw off the bias of the tube. So let's check that out. Nice. This is a healthy tube. I can go ahead and give this a life test, and then what this will do is essentially lower the filament voltage down and see if it could still have enough horsepower to pull some electrons over. So let's see if that works. And it does. There's no deflection in the needle there. So this is a good tube. And I will set that one to the side. We have another one here on the socket 3. And I just recently recapped and did a full clean and retention. Obviously, what I do on your guys' amps, I do that here as well. So this thing is fully restored for our intents and purposes and well calibrated. So again, I'll get the tube warming up. Let's bring her up to temp, give it a few seconds here. And then we'll run through the emission and grid leak test. Again, off camera, I did perform all these tests, so just to save wear and tear on these tubes, I won't go through the shorts function. So let's look for the emission test to send us well into the green, and that like tacks the needle, bounces it off the end around 105 on the meter. Again, this is not super precision gear. None of these tube testers are, but this gives us a good indication, especially compared to the prior tube. So let's check out grid leakage. We want that on the left-hand side. Beautiful. Lots of life left in that one. No deflection to speak of on a life test. There's a lot of life left in this pair of tubes. So if you have a little 18 watter or one of the little 2 EL84 amps, these are still good tubes. So you get some of the money back on that quad that you just purchased. Now let's look at this guy. Back in the socket 3, I'll save you the spiel. Get her warmed up. All right, let's check the emission. See if it'll climb up as she warms up. I short shifted that, so that's on me. There we go, that's nice. If the tube was warmed up and it climbed up slowly, that could be an indication of a pending fault. or just an old tube, and then in that case you can kind of bump up the filament voltage and see if you can boil off some imperfections in the electron emitting coating on the cathode and sort of rejuvenate the tube, so to speak. So that's fine. Let's look for the grid leak test. Awesome. That's beautiful. That's what we're looking for. And then just minimal deflection on a life test. So this one may be a little less lifespan. I mean, this is no Nostradamus machine, but compared to the other two, this one might come in, you know, maybe 5% behind. Still good to go. Maybe a backup tube for the other two. And then we got this guy, who I already pre-labeled, so spoiler alert, something's gonna happen. Let's get her warmed up. Again, no shorts here. Let's see what she's gonna do. On the emission end, that's nice. Again, she was just sort of on a tail end of warm-up. Let's check out grid leak. And she's gonna climb towards bad, so I would say this is a no-go. It's just so marginal and unstable there. And I did try rejuvenating the tube, but honestly, this is an audio amp that runs these hard, so I'm gonna get these guys out of there. All right, take care. Bye-bye.